today's video, I'm going to be talking all about the Office 365 Document Lifecycle, where you create your documents, where you use your documents, and how you dispose of them when you no longer need them. Now in Office 365 there are three main places where you might choose to store your documents. They are OneDrive for Business, Microsoft Teams, and SharePoint Online. OneDrive is me. They are my documents. Teams is we. It's a group of people working towards a common goal. They're not publicly available. It's just for a small subsection of the whole user audience. Lastly, we have SharePoint Online. SharePoint is all. Think of it like this. If you are creating a company policy, there may be a team that works on that policy where it goes through the various revisions. Once that document is ready for prime time and everybody should be able to see it, at that point we move that document into SharePoint Online. First things first though, what we're going to do is we're going to look at OneDrive for Business. Okay, so let's imagine that we are working on a fair use policy. Here we can see in my OneDrive that I've already got one written, Internet Fair Use Policy. And if we open it up, we can see it's just a fairly bog standard, acceptable Internet Use Policy, couple of spelling mistakes, general kind of thing. If I work on this document myself, okay, I can share it from here, as you might expect, but it's not really built. OneDrive isn't really built for collaborative working. So if we had a team of users that we wanted to work together on each of these policies that we're going to create, I may start to write the document here in my OneDrive, and then I can move it into the correct location. What I will do now is move this document from my OneDrive into the team. So if I highlight the document, which I've already gone here, and then say move to, we can see that we have a list of sites. I can move it around the various parts. If I click browse sites, what we will see is that here we have a site called Policy Management, and this is the site that underpins the policy management team that I've created. So I'll say that I'm going to move it here. We'll move it into general and then just say move here. So what we've got now is the fact that the document is now ready to be used by a smaller subset of users than the entire user audience. So if I come into the policy management team, and I will just refresh this document library here, and here we can see the Internet Fair Use Policy. So when it was in OneDrive, it was me. Now that it's in the team, it's us. Okay, all of the team members can edit this. They can do whatever they need to do with that document. For instance, they may come into this and realize that the title here, okay, it's capitalized badly. So, we come in and we change this. Okay, acceptable Internet Use Policy, all good stuff, and that's now saved. So it can go through all the various revisions that documents go through in these kind of places. So once we're happy with that, okay, once the policy is ready for prime time, it's ready to be published so that it becomes the live policy across the entire organization, what we can do is move it from the team into a SharePoint site that more people have access to. Now, you'll notice that we don't have the move, well, we have the move option here, but what it doesn't give us the ability to do is to move it into other teams or channels. Okay, we can just see the 365 Guru team and policy management. This needs to go to a SharePoint site. Okay, the final resting location of this document is not going to be in Teams, it's going to be in SharePoint. So we don't get to do that within Teams. There's a cheat though. What we can do is come to our document, Okay, come to our document library and say open in SharePoint. That's precisely what it's done. So here we can see we are in the general folder inside the documents library for the SharePoint site that underpins the policy management team. I can then highlight the document and then do move to. So when I say move to, okay, it gives us the ability to browse sites. And I know that this is going to go into work at the 365 Guru. So click work. We've got a folder here called policies. That's where that's going to go. And we say move here. And then fantastic. Okay, moved. So it's no longer in this location. We could have copied it as well. Okay, but that was an option in all of these kind of transfers that we've gone through. But I've just decided to do the move. If we come into the SharePoint site, okay, policy management, let's come into SharePoint inside the waffle here. Okay, let's go to work at the 365 Guru. And what we can see is that I've added a web part here, document web part onto the homepage. Inside policies, there is our internet fair use policy. Now, one thing that we might choose to do is obviously have a renewal of these policies so that they get checked every year, every 2 years, and so on. And that's precisely what actually happens here inside this document library. So if I come to the contents of this site, okay, and come into the documents library here, what we can see is there is our document. Okay, if we look in the properties, the details for this document, okay, at this point we can say apply label, and here I've created a policy retention label. Now, one thing that this should make clear is that this label is actually already being applied to the folder. Okay, so just to make sure of that, we can go to library settings up in the cog at the top, apply label to items in this list or library, and then here we can see policy retention, apply label to existing items, click save. Okay, and what we should find is that our document, okay, policies here, and it comes up and you see, why is it still like that? Well, why is it still blank? This is an issue with Office 365. When you apply a label to a container, so to a document library or a site, it applies the label, but it doesn't really advertise the fact that it has. So this document does have that retain for 2-year label already applied to it, but it doesn't show you it in the apply label choice here. So if you wanted to make it doubly clear that that's what was happening, we can say policy retention at this point. So we wait 2 years. What will happen is this policy is set up to have a disposition approval process. So an email will be sent to the people that have been added to the notifiers for this particular policy to say, okay, what do you want to do with this document? Do we re-up it for another 2 years? Do we delete it? Do we just leave it where it is? So in this short video, what we have seen is how you would create a document, okay, in OneDrive. You can also create them in Teams or SharePoint, but you know, the document lifecycle that I would normally do is I would work on the document initially myself. So that's me, OneDrive. It then goes into Teams, so that people in the smaller subset of users that are going to be working towards that common business goal can work on the document. So that's Teams being us. And then when it's ready for everybody to be able to see it, it goes into SharePoint. And remember, SharePoint is all. Okay, that's it for this video. I'm David Davies, the 365 Guru. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Click that bell if you want to get any updates for upcoming videos. It's been a blast. Speak to you soon.